Section 24 of Our Cats and All About Them. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by John Thomas Kuzmarski. Our Cats and All About Them by Harrison Weir. 24. Concerning Cats. Cat. Irish, cat. French, chat. Dutch, cat. Danish, cat. Swedish, cat. German, catti or cats. Latin, catus. Italian, gatto. Portuguese and Spanish, gatto. Polish, kot. Russian, kots. Turkish, kitty. Welsh, kath. Cornish, kath. Basque, katua. American, gaz or gats. In Armenic, kita or keta is a male cat. Abram cat. This I first thought simply meant a male cat, but I find in Nares, Abram is the corruption of Auburn, so no doubt a red or sandy tabby cat is intended. A ween cat, a queen cat, catus femina. Queen was used by the Saxons to signify the female sex, in that queen fugol was used for hen fowl. Farmers in Kent and Sussex used also to call heifers little queens. Carl cat. A boar or he cat, from the Old Saxon carl or carl, a male, and cat. Cat. It was used to denote liberty. No animal is more impatient of restriction or confinement, nor yet seeming to bear it with more resignation. The Romans made their goddess of liberty holding a cup in one hand and a broken scepter in the other, with a cat lying at her feet. Among the goddesses, Diana is said to have assumed the form of a cat. The Egyptians worship the cat as an emblem of the moon, not only because it was more active after sunset, but from the dilation and contraction of its orb, symbolical of the waxing and waning of the night goddess. But Bailey, in his dictionary, says cats see best as the sun approaches, and that their eyesight decays as it goes down in the evening. Yet, on this account, says Mr. Thistleton Dyer, in his English folklore, it was so highly esteemed as to receive sacrifices, and even to have stately temples erected to its honor. Whenever a cat died, Brand tells us, all the family shaved their eyebrows, and Diodorus Siculus relates that a Roman happening accidentally to kill a cat, the mob immediately gathered round the house where he was, and neither the entreaties of some principal men by the king, nor the fear of the Romans, with whom the Egyptians were then negotiating a peace, could save the man's life. In so much esteem also was it held, that on the death of its owner the favourite cat, or even kitten, was sacrificed, embalmed, and placed in the same sarcophagus. Some few years ago, Mr. E. Long, R.A., exhibited at the Royal Academy a very fine picture of Egyptians' idol-making, idol-worshippers, and sellers, the lines from Juvenal being descriptive. All knows what monsters Egypt venerates. It worships crocodiles, or it adores the snake-gorged ibis and sacred ape. Graven in gold is seen, whole cities pray to cats and fishes, or the dog invoke. Cat. A metal tripod for holding a plate or Dutch oven before the fire, so called because in whatever position it is placed, it is supported by the spokes. As it is said, a cat will always light on its feet, so the plate holder will stand firmly in any position. Those old brass appliances have now gone out of use and are seldom seen, the new mode of handing round not requiring them. Another reason, doubtless, is the lowness of the fire compared with the stove of former years, which was high up in the bygone parlor grate. Cat. A cross old woman was called a cat, or to a shrewish the epithet was applied tauntingly. But will you woo this wild cat? Taming of the Shrew, Act 1, Scene 2. Cat. A ship formed on the Norwegian model, having a narrow stem, projecting quarters, and a deep waist. It is strongly built, from 4 to 600 tons burden, and employed in the coal trade. Cat. A strong tackle, or combination of pulleys, to hook and draw in the anchor perpendicularly up the cathead of the ship. Cat. A small kind of anchor is sometimes called a cat or ketch by the Dutch kat. Cat. At the edge of the moat, opposite the wooden tower, a strong penthouse, which they called a cat, might be seen stealing towards the curtain, and gradually filling up the moat with fascines and rubbish. Read Cloister and Hearth, chapter 43, Davis's Glossary. Caticide, a cat killer. Bailey, 1726. Catamount, cat of the mountain. The ordinary wild cat when found in the mountains, among the rocks or woods. Cat and trap. A game or play. Ainsworth. This is probably that known as trap, bat, and ball, as on striking the trap, after the ball is placed on the lever, it is propelled upwards and then struck by the batsman. Catapult, a military engine for battering or attacking purposes, a modern toy by which much mischief and evil is done by unthinking boys. Catbird, an American bird whose cry resembles that of a cat, the Turdus felivox. Cat block, a 2- or 3-fold block with an iron strap and large hook, used to draw up an anchor to the cat head. Cat call, a tin whistle. The ancients divided their dramas into 4 parts: protasis, introduction; epitasis, continuation; catastasis, climax; and catastrophe, conclusion or denouement. The cat call is the call for the cat, or catastrophe. Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. Sound, sound, ye viols, be the cat call dumb. Dunciad 1:303. The modern imitation of cat calls is caused by whistling with 2 fingers in the mouth, and so making an intensely shrill noise, with wallings imitating caterwaulings. Also a shrill tin whistle, round and flat, set against the teeth. Cat-eaten street, in London, properly Cat Street, Stowe. Caterpillar, caterpilvirm, among fruit, is corrupted from an old French Shot Pelleas Palsgrave 1530. Hairy cat. The last part of the word was probably assimilated to piler, a robber or despoiler. Palmer's Folk Etymology. Caterwauling. The roll of cats in rutting times. Any hideous noise. Topsel gives caterwauling to rawl. Rawl, to rail or quarrel with a loud voice. Hence the Yorkshire expression, raising a row, meaning a row or quarrel. There is also the archaic adjective rar, angry. Caterwaul, therefore, is the wall or roll of cats, the being either a plural, similar to childer, children, or a corrupted genitive. Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. What a caterwauling do you keep here? Shakespeare, Twelfth Night, Act 2, Scene 3. To yawl, to squall or scream harshly like an enraged cat. Holloway, Norfolk. Thou must be patient, we came crying hither. Thou knowest the first time that we smell air, we wawl and cry. King John, Act 4. Cat-eyed, sly, grey eyes, or with large pupils, watchful. Cat-fall, a rope used in ships for hoisting the anchor to the cat head. Catfish, a species of the squalus or shark, Felis marinus. The catfish of North America is a species of cottus or bullhead. Catgut, a corruption of gut cord, the intestines of a sheep twisted and dried, not that of a cat, as generally supposed. Also, it is stated by some, the finger strings for viols were made from the cat. Mr. Timms says the original reading in Shakespeare was calf's gut, a sort of linen or canvas with wide interstices. Webster. Cat-hamed or hammed. Awkward, sometimes applied to a horse with weak hind legs, and which drops suddenly behind on its haunches, as a cat is said to do. Cat-handed, a Devonshire term for awkward. Cat hairpins, rope sewing to brace in the shrouds of the lower masts behind their respective yards, to tighten the shrouds and give more room to draw in the yards when the ship is close hauled. Marine Dictionary. Cat harping fashion, drinking crossways and not as usual over the left thumb. Sea term, gross. Cat head, a strong beam projecting horizontally over the ship's bows, carrying 2 or 3 sheaves, above which a rope called the cat fall passes, and communicates with the cat block. Marine Dictionary. Cathood, the time when a kitten is full grown. It is then a cat and has attained maturity, that is, cathood. Cat hook, a strong hook fitted to the cat block. Catlap, weak tea only fit for the cat to lap, or thin milk and water. In Kent and Sussex it is also often applied to small, very small beer. Even thin gruel is called catlap. Weak tea is also called scandal broth. Catlike, stealthy, slow, yet appertaining more to appearance. Catlings, down or moss, growing about walnut trees, resembling the hair of a cat. Cat-o'-nine tails, so called from being 9 pieces of cord put together, in each cord 9 knots, and this, when used vigorously, makes several long marks, not unlike the clawing or scratching of a cat, producing crossing and recrossing wounds, a fearful and severe punishment, formerly not often exercised for trivial offences. Cat or dog wool, of which cot or coarse blankets were formerly made. Bailey, cot gase, refuse wool. Cat, no doubt, was a corruption of cot. Cat pear, a pear shaped like a hen's egg that ripens in October. Cat pellet, the pop gun of boys, one pellet of paper driving out the other. Davis, in his glossary, thinks it means tip cat. Probably it may be the sharpened piece of wood, not the game, that is different altogether, he quotes. Who beats the boys from cat pellet and stool ball? British Bellman, 1648. Cat salt, a salt obtained from butter. Cat salt, a sort of salt beautifully granulated, formed out of the bittern or leech brine, used for making hard soap. Encyclopedia. Cat's eye, a precious stone resembling, when polished, the eye of a cat. It has lately become fashionable. A large collection of Burmese, Indian, and Japanese curiosities was lately sold by auction. The great attraction of the sale was the Hindu lingam god, consisting of a chrysoberyl cat's eye fixed in a topaz and mounted in a pyramidal base studded with diamonds and precious stones. This curious relic stood 2 1/4 inches in height. It was preserved for more than 1,000 years in an ancient temple at Delhi, where acts of devotion were paid before it by women anxious to have children. The base is of solid gold, and around it are set 9 gems or charms. Pyramid is a plinth set with diamonds. On the apex is a topaz, 1/10/16 inch in length and 9/16 of an inch in depth, shaped like a horseshoe. In the center of the horseshoe, the great chrysoberyl cat's eye stands upright. There is 15/16 of an inch in height and dark brown in color and shaped like a pear. An extremely mobile opalescent light crosses the length of the stone in an oblique direction. When Bad Shah Bahadur Shah, the last king of Delhi, was captured and exiled to the Andaman Isles, his queen secreted this gem, and it was never seen again until, being distressed during the mutiny, she sold it to the present owner. The gem was finally knocked down at £2,450 to Mr. S.J. Phillips, jeweller, New Bond Street. Cat's foot. To live under the cat's foot. To be under the dominion of a wife henpecked. Cat's foot, a plant of the genus Glechoma pes felinus, ground ivy or gill. Cat's head apple, a large culinary apple, considered by some in form to bear a resemblance to a cat's head. Phillips, in his poem Cider, thus describes it: "The cat's head's weighty orb, enormous in growth, for various use." Cat silver, an old popular name for mica or talc. Cat sleep, a light doze, a watchful sleep, like that of a hare or of a cat who sits in front of a mouse hole, a dozy or a sleeping wakefulness. Cat's paw, any one used by another for getting them out of a difficulty, and for no other reason, is made a cat's paw of. The simile is from the fable of the monkey using the cat's paw to take his chestnuts out of the fire. A light breeze just ruffling the water in a calm is called a cat's paw. Also, a particular kind of turn in the bight of a rope made to hook tackle on. Cat's tail, Typha latifolia, a kind of reed which bears a spike like the tail of a cat, which some call reed mace. Its long flat leaves are much used for the bottoms of chairs. Cat's tails, mare's tails, equisetum. Cat stane, Battlestone, a monolith in Scotland, sometimes falsely called a druidical stone. The Norwegian term bantastein means the same thing. Celtic, cath, battle. Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. Cat sticks, thin legs compared to the thin sticks with which boys play at cat. Gross. Catsup or ketchup, a corruption of the English name Kitjap. Is then the syllable cat a pun on kit, or kitten a young cat? Surely not. Cattaria, Nepeta cattaria, Mentha felina, the herb catmint. Cattery, a place where cats are kept. The ordinary name when a person keeps a collection of cats. Cattish, having stealthy ways, slow and cautious in movements, watchful. Catwater, Plymouth. This is a remarkable instance of mistranslation. The castle at the mouth of the Plym used to be called the Chateau, but someone, thinking it would be better to anglicize the French, divided the word into two parts. Chat, cat, eau, water. Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. Catwin, Rosa spinosissima. Burnet rose is the name of the plant. Cat with two tails. The earwig, Northumberland, Holloway. Gill cat, a male cat, some say an old male. Nair says, an expression exactly analogous to jackass, the one being formerly called Gill or Gilbert, as commonly as the other Jack. Tomcat is now the usual term, and for a similar reason. Tibert is said to be the Old French for Gilbert. From Tibert, Tib, Tibby, also was a common name for a cat. Wilkins, in his Index to Philosophical Language, has gill, male, cat, in the same way as a male cat is called a tom cat. In some countries, the cock fowl is called a tom. It is unknown whence the origin of the latter term. Grimalkin, poetical name for a cat. Bailey. Mawkin signifies a hare in Scotland. Gross. In Sussex, a hare is often called puss or pussy. Puss is also a common name for a cat. Grinagog, the cat's uncle. A foolish, grinning fellow, one who grins without reason. Gross. In Norfolk, If one say she, the reply is, who is she? The cat's aunt? Hang me in a bottle like a cat. Benedict. If I do, hang me in a bottle like a cat, and shoot at me, and he that hits me, let him be clapped on the shoulder, and called Adam, meaning Adam Bell, the famous archer. Much Ado About Nothing, Act 1. A note in the Percy Relics, Volume 1, 1812, states, bottles were formerly of leather, though perhaps a wooden bottle might be here meant. It is still a diversion in Scotland, 1812, to hang up a cat in a small cask or firkin, half filled with soot, and then a parcel of clowns on horseback try to beat out the ends of it, in order to show their dexterity in escaping before the contents fall on them. From Demans Joyeusis, Amusing Questions, 1511. Q. What is that never was and never will be? A. A mouse nest in a cat's ear. Q. Why does a cat cross the road? A. Because it wants to get to the other side. Mrs. Evans. A local name for a she-cat, owing, it is said, to a witch of the name of Evans, who assumed the appearance of a cat. Gross. 9 lives like a cat. Cats, from their great suppleness and aptitude to fall on their feet, are commonly said to have 9 lives. Hence, Ben Jonson, in Every Man in His Humour, says, "'Tis a pity you had not 10 lives, a cat's and your own." Thistleton Dyer's English Folklore. Tib. What wouldst thou have with me? Mare. Good king of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives. Romeo and Juliet 3:1. Middleton says in Blurt Master Constable 1602, they have 9 lives apiece, like a woman. Pussy cats, male blossom of the willow. Salt cat or salt cate. A mixture of salt, gravel, clay, old mortar, cumin seed, ginger, and other ingredients in a pan which is placed in pigeon lofts. Sick as a cat. Cats are subject to sickness or vomiting for the purpose of throwing up indigestible matter, such as the fur of mice, feathers of birds, which would otherwise collect and form balls internally. For this reason they eat grass, which produces the desired effect. Hence arises the phrase, as sick as a cat. Tabby. An old maid, either from Tabitha, a formal antiquated name, or else from a tabby cat. Old maids, by the rude, weak-minded, and vulgar, being often compared to cats. To drive tab, to go out on a party of pleasure with wife and family. Gross's Glossary. The neighborhood's old cat often came to pay us a visit. We made her a bow and courtesy, each with a compliment in it. After her health we asked, our care and regard to evince. We have made the very same speeches to many an old cat since. Mrs. B. Browning, translation of Heine. Tip cat. A pleasant name for those engaged in it. Not so, too often, for others. Medical reports of late tending to show that many cases of the loss of sight have occurred. To turn cat in pan. This phrase has been a source of much contention, and many different derivations have been given, but all tend to show that it means a complete turn over, That is, to quit one side and go to the other, to turn traitor, to turn coat, to turn cat in pan. Prevaricor, Ainsworth. Bacon, in his essays on cunning, page 81, says, "There is a cunning which we in England call the turning of the cat in the pan, which is when that a man says to another, he lays it as if another had said it to him." This is somewhat obscure in definition. Toone says, "The proverbial expression, to turn a cat in a pan, denotes a sudden change in one's party or politics or religion for the sake of being in the ascendant, as a cat always comes down on its legs, however thrown." The Vicar of Bray is quoted as simply a turncoat, but this does not affect the argument. I quite think, and in this others agree with me, that it has nothing to do with the cat, but was originally Kate. In old times, and until lately, it was the custom to toss pancakes to turn them over. It was no easy matter. Frequently the cake or Kate went in the fire or lodged in the chimney. To turn the cat or Kate in the pan was to toss and turn it completely over, that is, from one side to the other. The meaning given to the phrase helps to prove this view. I merely introduce this because so many have asked for an explanation as regards the cat in pan. I consider the far-fetched origins of the term are complete errors. It was a custom to toss pancakes on Shrove Tuesday, and it required great skill to do it well, cleanly, and completely. Some cooks were noted for it, and thought clever if it was done without injury to themselves or clothes. It appears from the Westmoreland dialect by A. Walker, 1790, that cockfighting and casting of pancakes were then common in that county. Thus, war there wore te be cockfighting, for it wore Pancake Tuesday, and we met some lads and lasses ganging to kest their pancakes. To whip the cat. To practice the most pinching parsimony, grudging even the scraps and orts or remnants of food given to the cat. Holloway, Norfolk. A phrase applied to the village tailor going round from house to house for work. To be drunk. Heywood's Philoconothista, 1635, page 60. An itinerant parson is said to whip the cat. A trick practised on ignorant country fellows, vain of their strength, by laying a wager with them that they may be pulled through a pond by a cat. The bet being made, a rope is fixed round the waist of the party to be catted, and the end thrown across the pond, to which the cat is also fastened by a pack thread, and 3 or 4 sturdy fellows are appointed to lead and whip the cat. These, on a signal being given, seize the end of the cord and pretend to whip the cat, haul the astonished booby through the water. Gross, 1785. The following are culled from the well-known and useful book Jameson's Scottish Dictionary. Cat. A small bit of rag rolled up and put between the handle of a pot and the hook which suspends it over the fire to raise it a little. Roxby. Cat. A handful of straw, with or without comb upon it, or of reaped grain laid on the ground by the reaper without being put into a sheaf. Roxby Dumfra. Perhaps from the Belgian word katten, to throw, the handful of corn being cast on the ground, whence cat, a small anchor. Cat, the name given to a bit of wood, a horn, or anything which is struck in place of a ball in certain games. To cat a chimney, to close a vent by the process called cat and clay. Teviotr. Cat and clay, the materials of which a mud wall is constructed in many parts of straw and clay are well wrought together, and being formed into pretty large rolls, are laid between the different wooden posts by means of which the wall is formed, and carefully pressed down so as to incorporate with each other, or with the twigs that are sometimes plaited from one post to another. Cat and dog, the name of an ancient sport. It seems to be an early form of cricket. Query, is this the same as cat and trap? Cat band. 1. The name given to the strong hook used on the inside of a door or gate, which, being fixed to the wall, keeps it shut. 2. A chain drawn across a street for defense in time of war. Germ ket, a chain and band. Catfish, sea cat. The sea wolf, Anarhicus lupus, Linn. SW half cat, i.e. sea cat. Sibbald. Cat gut. Thread fucus or sea lacis. Fucus phylum, Linn. Orkney, Niels Tour. Cat harrow. They draw the cat harrow, that is, they thwart one another. Loth Ang Lindsay. Cat heather, a finer species of heath, low and slender, growing more in separate upright stalks than the common heath, and flowering only at the top. A bird. Cat hole. 1. The name given to the loopholes or narrow openings in the wall of a barn. 2. A sort of niche in the wall of a barn in which keys and other necessaries are deposited in the inside, where it is not perforated. Cat hud. The name given to a large stone which serves as a back to a fire on the hearth in the house of a cottager. Dumfra. SWG Caet denotes a small cell or apartment, which corresponds to the form of the country fireside. Also a bed. A pen. Hud might seem allied to tut, hoid en conserver, as the stone is meant to guard this enclosure from the effects of the fire. Catling. A small catgut strings for musical instruments. Also a kind of knife used in surgery. Cat's loop. 1. A very short distance as to space. Q. As far as a cat may leap. Hog. 2. A moment, as eyes be we ye in a cat loop, i.e. instantly. I will be with you as quickly as a cat can leap. Catmaw. To tumble the catmaw. To go topsy-turvy. To tumble. SB. Catmint. An herbaceous plant, Mentha felina. The cat's delight to roll on. Cat's carriage. The same play that is otherwise called the king's cushion. QV Loff. Cat's cradle. A plaything for children, made of pack thread on the fingers of one person and transferred from them to those of another. S. Cat's crammocks. Clouds like hairs streaming from an animal's tail. Shetland. Cat's hair. 1. The down that covers unfledged birds. Fife. Synonym: paddock hair. The down on the face of boys before the beard grows. S. 3. Applied also to the thin hair that often grows on the bodies of persons in bad health. S. Catsiller. The mica of mineralogists. S. The Katzensilber of the vulgar in Germany. Tut Katzensilver, amiantus mica, vulgo argentum filium. Killian. Cat slug. The name given to the Auricula ursi. Lynn Roxburgh. Cat stairs. A plaything for children, made of thread, small cord, or tape, which is so disposed by the hands as to fall down like steps of a stair. Dimfer Gull. Catstone. One of the upright stones which support a grate, there being one on each side. Roxby. Since the introduction of Karen grates, these stones are found in kitchens only. The term is said to originate from this being the favourite seat of the cat. See Catstone English. Catstone head. The flat top of the catstone. Ibid. Cat steps. The projections of the stones in the slanting part of a gable. Roxby. Corby steps. Synonym. Cat's tails. Hare's tail rush. Eriforum vaginatum. Lynn Mearns. Also called canna down. Cat's tails. Galloway. Catten clover. Catten clover. The lotus, south of S. SW cat claw, cat's claws. Catter. 1. Catarrh. Bellenden. 2. A supposed disease of the fingers from handling cats. Catterbatch. A broil, a quarrel. Fife. Toot. Cater, a he-cat, and boats, rendered cavallatio, q. a cat's plural. Cat-wittit. Harebrained, unsettled. q. having the wits of a cat. S. Kitty. A North Country name for a cat, male or female. Kittling. Sharp. Kitten-like. His kittling eyes begin to run quite through the table where he spies the horns of papery butterflies. Herrick Hesperides. Kittenhood. State of being a kitten. For thou art as beautiful as ever a cat, that wantoned in the joy of kittenhood. Southey. Kittenish. Kitten-like. Such a kittenish disposition in her, I called it. The love of playfulness. Richardson. Kit or kitten. A young cat. A young cat is a kitten until it is full grown, then kittenhood ceases. A schoolboy, being asked to describe a kitten, replied, "A kitten is chiefly remarkable for rushing like mad at nothing whatever, and generally stopping before it gets there." Puss gentleman. An effeminate man. Davis, Glossary. I cannot talk with civet in the room. A fine puss gentleman, that's all perfume. Cowper's Conversations. End of section 24. Recording by John Thomas Kuzmarski. www.validateyourlife.com